Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Inain's Forensic Classroom. I hope you all are doing great. So as you all know, we are currently running our special series on crime scene management. And trust me, if you want to become a forensic expert, investigating officer, or just need to clear your exams, today's topic is where everything actually begins. So today we are talking about first responding officer duties. So now let's understand how a crime scene actually starts for the police. Now the crime is usually noticed by the member of public. Maybe a neighbor hears a scream, or the shopkeeper reports a robbery, or even the victim calls for the help. So what they do is they call the police. Now the information goes to the control room. And the nearest patrol unit is informed. So the first police officer who reaches the crime scene or who reaches that location is becomes the first responding officer. So from that second the clock starts ticking. So the first responding officer might not be a forensic scientist. They may not be trained in DNA collection or blood stain pattern analysis, but they have the power to protect or permanently damage the entire case in the first 10 to 20 minutes. So that period is often referred to as the golden hour, not just medically but also investigatively, because those first few minutes are very critical. Right now, let's break down exactly what the first responding officer must do. So let's talk about first responding officer duties. So the first duty is upon arrival. When first responding officers arrive at the crime scene, the safety always comes first. So the moment the officer arrives, they do not start searching for fingerprints. The first rule is to ask questions like, is the shooter still in the building, or is there a bomb threat, or is there a gas leak? So the safety of the officer and the public comes first. The first responding officer, they should neutralize any threat. They should call backup if needed. They should call fire services if there is a fire case, or they should call the bomb squad if required. So very important principle here is the officer safety and the public safety comes first, because if the officer becomes injured, the situation becomes worse. Then the second duty is to preserve life over evidence. Now, once the scene is secure, the next priority is the medical aid. Now, if someone is injured, they should call an ambulance immediately. They should provide first aid if they are trained. They should also ensure quick transport to the hospital. Remember, preservation of life takes precedence over preservation of evidence. If paramedics move the victim, they disturb a blood stain, or they accidentally kick a cartridge case, that is acceptable if it was done to save a life. But you have to remember an important forensic detail. The first responding officer must note everything. What was moved, who moved it, or what was the original position, what were the victim's last words, if any, because that could be the dying declaration. Also, if the clothings are removed at the hospital, they should also be preserved, because the clothes may contain blood, gunshot residues, fibers, semen, or any other trace evidences. Then the third duty is to secure the perimeter. Right now, the once the emergency care is handled, the first responding officer becomes the guardian. They have to cordon off the area. They have to establish a perimeter. Okay, so how they do it? They basically establish a perimeter with the yellow tape or the police tape. Now, I will give you a tip here, which is you should always over secure the scene, right? Why? Because it is better to make a large boundary first and then reduce it later than to make a small boundary and then realizing that footprints are just outside the tape, or tire marks were crushed by the police, or there are blood droplets that are being stepped on. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind when you are securing the perimeter. Now we usually have two zones, which is the inner perimeter and the outer perimeter. So inner perimeter is basically the actual crime scene, and outer perimeter is the buffer zone in order to control the crowd and media. Because in India especially, crowd control is a major issue. There are curious neighbors, there are relatives, media reporters, and even politicians sometimes trying to enter the crime scene. Now, the first responding officer, they should, they must prevent the three C's, which is the crowds, the curious neighbors, and the co-workers. So even the senior officers who aren't even assigned to the case shouldn't be wandering inside. Only authorized personnel should enter the crime scene. Then the fourth duty is the crime scene entry log. Now, this is extremely important and often asked in exams. So, first responding officer must start a crime scene entry log. Now, this log includes the names of the person entering the crime scene, their rank or designation, their time in and time out, the reason for entry, all of this should be noted down. This is important because in court, the defense lawyer will ask, how do we know that someone didn't plant that evidence? So if you have the entry log, it will prove the accountability. Then the first responding officer's duty is to freeze the scene, which is to maintain the status quo. So the first responding officer, they must maintain the status quo, meaning exactly how the scene was found. They should secure it. They should preserve it how he found the crime scene. So no one should use the washroom at the scene, smoke or eat, or adjust the AC, open windows, turn off fans, or move the furniture, or even touch weapons. Even if there is a small change, it will destroy data. For example, if some people enter and they turn off the fan, it can disturb the lightweight trace evidences. Opening windows may alter the temperature, and that can affect the time of death estimation. Okay, so all of that. Then coming to the sixth duty, which is protecting different types of evidences. Now, the first responding officer must protect physical evidences, biological evidences, trace evidences, digital evidences, all of that should be preserved. Now, for example, they have to cover the footprints if they feel that the rain is expected. Remember, for first responding officer job is to preserve the evidence, or is related to preservation, and not detailed connection. Then moving on to the next duty, which is to separate the witness. Now, this is something many people forget. So, forensic first responding officers should identify witnesses, and they should keep them separate. If they sit together, they start influencing each other's memories. So, one can say that the car was blue, the other says it was black, and soon they will both agree that it was a dark colored car. So we want their individual raw memories, not a discussed version, right? Then they also have to handle the suspect. So if the suspect is present, they have to secure and arrest if required. They have to separate them from the public. Do not allow them to, go and wash their hands, which is very important for gunshot residue cases. They have to maintain professionalism. There is no need of, unnecessary aggression. Then moving on, they also have to maintain coordination with other agencies, which is the police team, the forensic team, the medical staff, and the magistrate. So all of that has to be done in a very coordinated manner. So that is the reality of being first on the scene. It's high pressure, it's chaotic, but it is the foundation of justice. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. We are already growing so fast, and I would honestly love your support to keep making these forensic videos for you. Also, please hit the like button and comment below. I really want to hear your perspectives on first responding officer duties, especially in the Indian context. Do you think our first responding officers are trained enough in forensics? What improvements do you think are needed? Let's have a meaningful discussion in the comments. Stay tuned for the next video in our crime scene management series. Till then, keep learning and take care of yourself. Bye bye.